Want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day, and God, thank you for the wonderful things that you've blessed us with, God. We thank you most of all for your Son, Jesus. And God, I just pray that you would be with us tonight as we meet to fill the void that we have on the school board. God, I pray that you would just give us wisdom and help us to make the right decisions tonight. And God, I pray that you would help us all to remember that we're doing this for the next generation. And God, I pray that you would just bless our time together tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, so we're ready to call up the meeting of January 23rd, 2023 of the High School Board of Education to order. We do have a quorum. I want to welcome all of our guests and employees. Mr. Warren, go ahead.
Just a normal business to start off. It's usually better to keep this part intact. This is a consent agenda. It's the approval of this agenda for tonight's meeting and the minutes from the regular meeting of January 9th. So I would entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Motion by Connie,
I'll second.
second by Josh. All in favor?
And then now on to new business and if you all have.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming, Mr. Harris, Mr. Brannon. We really appreciate that you have both said, hey, we're willing to take on this spot. Do you have anything you guys would like to say before we get started with anything?
No, but I'll just tell you up front, if he is willing to serve, then I would love for him to do it. I'm here because I just wasn't sure that the position would get filled and want somebody good to do it, that's all.
Mr. Brandon?
I'm here.
You're here? All right.
Willing and ready.
So, does anybody have any questions? Do you guys want to just kind of go down the list, or you?
Well, what, is Mr. Harris saying you're willing to work?
I'm saying if he's willing to serve, then great.
Okay.
And I'll excuse myself.
Okay.
I just wanted to be sure the position would be filled. I live out that way and I'm very politically active now. I didn't used to be, but I have gotten that way. And whether I serve here on the board or whatever, I'm working very, very, very hard for this county right now and for the educational system. I've had meetings with John Bozeman. I've had meetings with our new Commissioner of Education. I've tried to explain to them that as a real estate developer, that's what I do, I'm a real estate developer, that we're seeing a huge influx of people coming into our area. But those people are city folk and they're folks that are coming from outside areas, outside of Arkansas, and they're gonna expect a whole different educational system than what we offer here as a rural community. But they need to understand that those people are gonna expect different things, but we're gonna need them to fund those things for us. And try to explain that, you know, it's just pushing this way. And trying to bring some of that to light for them. And hopefully get us some money directed to us and help us. And at some point, I don't know, do you guys have a junior achievement program? Familiar with junior achievement? I would love to see you guys do a junior achievement program. And through the years when I was a banker, I volunteered for junior achievement. And I don't know if you guys bring in many outside people to bring in professional stuff, say into the high school levels and stuff, but I would love to do that, and I can volunteer I can get other people to volunteer to do some of those type of things for you. So, you know.
That's awesome.
And I don't know anything about what you guys do, sadly, okay? I know very little. I don't have children. I just pay a lot of taxes. So, anyway.
Well, it sounds like you're very, very knowledgeable.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, from an educational standpoint, I mean, I've got a BBA in finance from Stetson University. I served on my alumni board of directors. So from an educational standpoint, I'm a big supporter of the College of the Ozarks, and I have taken tons of students from this area up there, some of which have gone, some of which haven't, but it's my goal that
Is
if
that
a
the one in Branson?
Exactly, yeah, yep, and I do whatever I can to get students from from our area, higher education. If they want it, we're gonna support it, we're gonna do whatever it takes to help them get better education, you know? And then hopefully they'll come back to our community and serve here, you know, but, so.
So if we wanted you to stay in the running?
I think you've got a great candidate.
I do too, I'm just saying, choice is always good, I mean, they're.
And something to think about is this position is coming back up in May. You have to run for election in May. This appointment is only until then. So that's
So
something.
he'd be a great candidate too. No, and you've been on the board, right? He's very experienced here and stuff, so, but I'm happy to serve you guys. I would love to help out the educational system in Madison County in any way, shape, or form you would want. Okay, I'm here to serve my community. I just came off the Japton board. I am a EMR for our county, so I'm one of the very active. I don't do so much firefighting. I'm more of a medical responder in our area, and I do Bohannon, Japton, Wesley. So I mean, I'm out there, and as a real estate developer, I can break away when I need to, type thing. So you know, I'm all about what I can do for Madison County. So, but whether I'm on the board or not, I'm still going to be helping out in any way, shape, or form.
What I have to offer is 13 years previous experience. I started first grade here with Juanita Bailey and graduated from here. My children have been here since kindergarten through high school, and have a bachelor's degree in agricultural engineering, master's degree in civil engineering, and professional engineer, licensed in 13 states. My plan is to retire from that, which would leave me an opening at time for this. I have owned and operated a large ranch here in the county for 47 years. Mr. Harris mentioned he was a very political figure. I'm not. If you ask around the county, half of them are gonna say, well, that guy's a Republican, and the other half's gonna say he's a Democrat. But Farm Bureau has asked me several times to be the person in charge of the meet the candidate because I don't affiliate with either side. I think they all stink. But what I see in our district right now, if you look at the newspapers for the last year and a half, you see choosing up sides, not Democrat or Republican, but for whatever reason, we've chosen up sides, and there's been a lot of bad language used against a lot of people. I've not been on either side. I've just sat back and listened. I understand why we have a school board that has 0 years of experience. I understand why we have a superintendent that has 0 years of experience. And what I have to offer is 13 years of experience on the board at this district, as well as boards at state level and on other organizations. I'm offering. If you should choose to work with Mr. Harris instead of me, I'm gonna say the same thing that he did, that I'm still gonna back the school district, and I would, rather than be quoted in the newspaper as criticizing you, I'd rather be known as someone that you could call and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I certainly haven't called any of you and told you what I thought you should do. But if you ever want to ask my opinion, I'd be happy to share.
There were a few questions, but I think you guys answered most of them that were on here. Except for, do you have specific suggestions for improvement? That is one that you guys have not answered yet, either one of you. I'd like both of you to answer it if you would. Specific suggestions for improvement of the district, of the board.
I just drove around campus before I got here, and I saw two things that is a safety hazard. At our new activity center, the radius for the driveways entering and exit are too tight. You have to cross into the other lane to enter or exit. That's just a civil engineer observation. As far as policy, which is where school board needs to be working, I am ignorant of current policies. And I would hate to try to tell you, you need to do this, this, and this without a little bit of background knowledge.
Mr. Harris?
I know that Arkansas is one of the lowest states in education, and I know our high school is in the bottom third, if you're comparing SAT scores. So I don't know how to fix that, but that tells me that we're undereducating somewhere. Whether that's kindergarten or senior or somewhere in between. I don't know what our percentage of kids that go to higher education that leave our system, but I would say that needs to improve greatly, would be my guess. And it would be a lot easier for them to do that if we got their SAT scores up, because then they can get more scholarships. Just higher grades mean more money. And that's just a fact of life, like it or not. So, just from kids that can read and do math and do better skills. And I know we have an issue with a lot of kids that say, oh, well, we've been doing this for 5 generations and I don't need to know any more than I know because I'm good. And that's a bad attitude. And how do we break that attitude? How do we, also I work with affordable housing here, so I have dealt a tremendous amount with the lower end of the kids in the school system, the ones that are, as we say, sofa surfing. And it's a sad situation, so I'm trying to break that cycle of poverty. How do we do that inside the school system? Again, I don't know for sure, but I've done quite a bit of management for years and years and years, and I ran car dealerships for years is what I did, and then I sold software, 2 car dealerships for Fortune 500 companies. So I've been at high level of, call it business if you will. I don't think this school system prepares children for business. And I shouldn't say this school system. What I mean by that, I see that like Florida. I see it everywhere. It's frustrating that we have a whole school system, but a kid gets out and they don't know anything about their credit score. They don't know anything about filling out a credit app. They don't understand a FICO score. So I'm like, somewhere the practical part of life needs to be taught. How do we improve that on a board level? I don't know for sure, because I've never even sat in on a board meeting where you got a tremendous amount of experience coming in here. And again, I'm not pitching for me to be here, because if he's willing to serve, I'm like, please let him do that, okay? And I'll help you on the outside somewhere, okay? But those are the things that I just know from raw data that, hey, our SAT scores stink. So if I were on the board, I'd say, how do we educate our kids and bring that up 100 points? And make that like a number one goal, because I don't know how else you can literally judge a system and say, okay, how are we doing? Well, after 12 years, we're in the bottom rung of 50 states, and we're in the bottom third of our bad state. And that's just the fact. I mean, and please understand, I'm not trying to beat anybody up. There is tremendous room for improvement. So as a board member, I'd be like, how do we change that instantly? What do we need to do? I know that takes more money because it takes newer, more teachers, student-teacher ratios, things like that. So that's why I'm Mr. Tom Cotton, Mr. Bozeman, I need some money. Help me get some more teachers in here. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor, I need you to give me some more money. So help me.
You guys wanna go back to the executive?
Okay,
Or-
ask.
Yep.
Okay, are you planning to run for re-election if you get appointed in May? I mean, I know you can never predict the future, but is your intention to go ahead and run?
Cause you would have to file in March.
Let me give you a little history. When my daughter started first grade here, I walked over to Bill D. Watson Elementary, which is named after my wife's uncle, and I pulled on the door handle and the whole contraption came off in my hand. And I was a little bit upset by that. And later that week, I went over to the gym to a church basketball league. And the same thing happened over there. I tried to open the door and it fell off in my hands. Jack McCarty was standing there and I said, Jack, have you got a quarter? And he said, yeah. And I said, give it to me. And I said, you have just contributed to the campaign for school board member. And that is what motivated me to run for the school board my first term. I got there and I learned that we were $200,000 in the hole. At the end of the 5 years, we had a substantial amount of money in reserve. But Governor Clinton was saying, we're gonna shut your school down because it doesn't meet minimum standards. So I ran again. And by the end of my second 5 years, we had the new high school. I thought, I've got it all in good shape, I can step aside. And somebody else was on there, and at the end of the next 5 years, there was another crisis. I can't even remember now what it was, but I came back and ran again. I see us in a similar situation with I hate to use the word hatred, but the discord that I see within our district. And I feel with my background in this county and in this district, I can help heal that. And if it's done by March, no, I won't run.
It's not.
If I feel there's a need, there's something here I need to work toward fixing, and that's what I am, I'm a fixer, then I'll run again. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Not any more truthful than it could have been. You couldn't have got any truer to answer than that right there.
And one more question. Right now, because you've said it, there's a lot of discord, there's a lot of disconnect, it seems like, and we're trying to bring it all back together. In the past, when you were here before, we had like a big separation between administration and teachers and a board not communicating. How would you do that different this time to have more communication between our classified, certified, and the board? You see any way to, what do you see about that?
Again, I don't know what levels of communication there are at present. But I recall one of the biggest issues that you and I probably recall is when they decided, or our superintendent decided that he wanted to change, was it the date that the checks came out, and the teachers were seeing that they were going to lose a month's salary. And he was saying, no, you're not, it's gonna come back to you. But, you know, that didn't help pay the grocery bill at the end of the month. And that's the biggest discommunication that I can recall. And I don't know if you were aware of how the votes went on that, but there was one dissenting vote and the rest of the board went with the superintendent. That dissenting vote was me, because I thought that there was a total lack of communication between staff and administration. And as I have worked to improve communication between staff and administration in the past, so I would do in the future.
So we wanna go executive?
We kind of have to, don't we?
We're gonna go to executive. Request, he has asked that we vote on Mr. Brannon. And he's willing to help us with any other things that we need during that time. So I will take a motion for Mr. Brannon to be appointed.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
First by Nick,
I'll second it.
second by Connie, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Brannon, welcome to the board, or back to the board.
Our condolences.
Mr. Harris, we will take
Yes.
your legislative contacts will be invaluable.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for what you have
Yes.
offered, because
Because they threw me as the legislative liaison and I'm, that's really my forte.
I can give you Jacob's cell number if you want.
And we really appreciate your willingness as a community member to step up and
absolutely.
help make sure this was taken care of.
We appreciate both of you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's-
absolutely.
I had no idea anyone else was even interested, so I appreciate you too.
Right, well, I'm here to serve my community in any way. I mean, I love Madison County and, you know, I'm just trying to build it up. If you all see, and if you're familiar with Junior Achievement, I would love to see Junior Achievement come in here because that is I'm all about business, okay? And if I were to say to a group of seniors, how do you start a corporation in Arkansas? What are the 10 things you definitely need to do? Could they answer that question as an example? Junior achievement teaches that.
I don't think I can answer that question.
Huh?
I don't think I can answer that question.
I know I can't answer that question.
I can't have a business.
I know skills does some of that, but I'm gonna look into that.
Right. And if you guys have a business class and you would like a outside guest to come in for once a week for 5 weeks or something, whatever, I'm at this board, the educational system's disposal, okay? And I promise I can actually clean up and I apologize that I know my hair and, and you'll see me because I'm always in front of the quorum court trying to change things and make things a little bit different. And, some people don't like that here, and so I catch a lot of grief for it. But at the same time, we can't improve if we don't change, okay? And if you are the legislative liaison, I don't know if you're aware, but Mr. Bragg kind of took that over between the governor's office and the legislative
I
branch.
have no idea what I'm doing.
No problem. So you do have my phone number, right?
Yes, sir.
So feel free to call, okay? And if you run to Little Rock, I'll run to Little Rock with you. I don't, stuff like that I'm happy to do, okay? In whatever shape or form we can do. And let me also throw out just real quick, because he mentioned like maintenance and stuff. If you guys have a specific terrible need, come to someone like me and I will find business leaders in the community to foot the bill. Okay? And please let me ever hear of a child going hungry, okay? It was the Ministerial Association, me being a part of that, I'm the only non-pastor part of the Ministerial Association. When you all, during this 2 years ago when COVID first happened and you guys had spring break, there was no food for the kids over spring break, so we made something like 5,000 sandwiches and fed kids I ran a route, like 5 of us ran a route. There was the regular school bus route and we passed out food. So what I'm saying is, I'm willing, I do whatever it takes, but if you all have a specific need, I will do my very best to see that need's met. But please don't ever let me hear that a child went hungry or didn't have a code or some of the most simple stuff. College of the Ozarks calls me up once in a while and says, Michael, we need $500. Real simple, we got thousands in, our war chest, but sometimes a kid just needs, they had one kid that had bad teeth, he needed his teeth fixed. Send me his dentist bill. I'll get it paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I mean to you all. There's just certain things if there's a certain need you have, let me know and make me tell you no. You know what I mean? All right, thank you guys.
And actually, as a non-board member, you may be more helpful than as a board member,
Probably,
because we're
yes.
limited sometimes.
Correct. Like the communication, I don't know, and see, I don't know the rules here. Like in Florida, we can't talk about what you do here outside.
We can't talk between us
Right.
without
Unless
inviting
we're
the
right
press.
there, yeah.
Exactly. So where
If me and Josh wants to go fishing, we're cousins.
you gotta be
We're gonna
careful.
invite the press to go fishing with us.
Exactly.
Mr. Harris,
No.
they have your contact information, I do not. Do you
Okay.
mind if they share that?
352. You know me, I put it in the paper, so it won't matter.
Thank you.
No, thank y'all, okay?
Thank
you
you
very much.
Have a good evening.
All right, Mr. Green.
One question.
Yes, sir.
When I was elected, the first thing I had to do was go to Little Rock to a class or something like that. Been through that 3 times. Do I need to do something like that again?
You will have to get hours. I don't know if you'll have to get the 9 as a new or just 6.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to clarify with the State Department on what, since we're talking about, now if let's assume that you run for election and that you are elected, then yes, you would have until, at least the way I see it, until December to get 9 hours, even though you have previously been a school board member. During this short time frame, I don't think we're pressed to make you take any hours or anything like that, but I will double check to make sure.
And you can do it virtual now,
Okay,
so you don't have to go to Little Rock.
Yeah. The training that you're talking about isn't offered until next June anyway, so
That's technically the new board training, right?
that's the new one.
Yes.
So does the person that's got previous experience have to take the new board training?
I'm not sure.
I mean, there were people that have been on the board for 30 years down there,
Well,
working down there.
Like you weren't able to go, so did you just do virtual? Yeah, so he
You
he
just
took
have
the
to-
new board training and you,
You technically just have to get the hours, it doesn't have to be through the new board training.
You're right.
You will have 10 days to go and get sworn in at the clerk's office.
okay.
We have to notify the county clerk, Ms. Rosen. Yeah, I don't, what do we need? We'll call them together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, that'll work.
And then, once that's finished, then we'll make sure that I relay that information to you, that you can go down and get sworn in.
Okay.
We appreciate you and we're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
greatly need your knowledge.
Do I need to bring my little sign so that you don't have to make one for just a short time? I've still got my old one.
man, he thinks he's a miracle
It's
worker.
confident, isn't he?
Yeah, it's gonna
I like
have soft fix.
I like confidence.
But we also are gonna ask for a psyche valve.
You don't have to worry about that, my mother had me tested.
Not your sweet mama. I don't know you, but I know your mama and daddy. I love them dearly.
And they're both gone.
Yep.
My dad's shoes his feet were smaller than mine, but I can't feel his shoes.
You had big shoes to fill. They-
Jack
you
was
gotta
your
make them
dad,
fill up.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I knew him well too.
Alright, so I guess we're good. Alright. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second by Bobby. All in favor?
So